Do you ever drive around and look at things and wonder how they could be better? You know? They could be designed better, or maybe made more effective, efficient, pretty, aesthetically pleasing, right? Do you ever consider that one of the things that we've really lost is a sense of collective story? You can see that in homogenization of how we design homes, neighborhoods, towns. Everything is homogenized. There's no character. There's no flavor. There's very little creativity. That's the sign of a culture that has very little life. That's the sign of a culture that does not have inspiration. It's the sign of a culture that's lost its way, lost its bearings, and values only money, how things appear, not how things could be or how they actually are. So, when you travel through suburbia, can you tell the difference between one suburban area and another? Or do they all start to look about the same? I mean, depending upon the flora and fauna, the area of the country you're in. What I find is that you can hardly tell the difference. There's no uniqueness. There's no unique architecture, culture. All there is sameness. It's a homogenized sameness. We all have the same stores, same restaurants, same designed homes. We can only use about 10 different colors, and all of them earth tones to whites. Various versions of beige. And of course, we all have to design our homes to look identical. We can't use new building materials or new construction techniques or even new architectural styles because you can't get it financed because it doesn't meet the actuarial tables of your financial autocracy. You're being choked off. Homogenized. Now here's an irony for you. How's that any different than a totalitarian society? Because they are homogenized. Everything is standardized. It's controlled. You see, you live in a mirage. This is not a free country. It doesn't value intellect, creativity. It It wants sameness, and that is death. That's closer to hell than it is being alive in creation in the temporal, or anything resembling something that lasts in eternal life. It's devoid of spirit, devoid of inspiration. So all your homes look the same. Your neighborhoods look the same. The colors are the same. And you talk to a real estate agent if you're trying to sell something and they want you to, if it's not exactly the same and meet those criteria, right? They want you to change it before they can sell it. Who determines this? Science, apparently, supposedly. So when you think about a world run by science, it's homogenized, without life. It can't even mimic the creation that is alive well. When you have technicians running everything, and everything becomes standardized, homogenized, and same, not only is it boring and uninspiring, but it actually has a cognitive impact on people far beyond that, because such a society is all about stuff. There's an endless pursuit of novelty and never any contentment. That's hell. You can always tell when a society is dying or is lacking the spirit of life, and what it builds, what it holds in esteem as virtue, regardless of what their words may say, how it actually plays out, what its arts and creativity is channeled towards. And when you look at what we have here, you may have more choices of homogenization, but it's still homogenization. Try to build your own house with your own designs. This is a country that says it can't, and you shouldn't. It is a controlled experiment that has very little life, and it's risk averse, contrary to what everybody tells you. Now, the people that want to channel the creativity channel it towards government, right? There's nothing less inspiring than government, bureaucracy. And why do you suppose it is that everything boils down to the financial system making decisions on what they see as acceptable? Because they rule it. They project that down on everybody else. And what it comes down to it is people are really lazy. They're lacking inspiration, creativity. So what do they do to the people that are creative? Well, they bleed them dry, because creative minds are food sources for the dead, uninspired, corrupted, animated corpses of our financial system. It used to be you could go to a bank and get a business idea funded if it was a good idea. You can't do that. Corporate America, the corporatocracy that you've created, is ruled by the financial markets. And it's about homogenization and maximizing profit. Has nothing to do with whether it's something you desire or something that's even good, unless they can profit on it and control it. So you have a society of weeds, of thorns and thistles. Now, if you've got ideas on how you can bomb the hell out of people and destroy other cultures, well, they'll still plunder you. But you'll be able to make a little money eventually if you bend a knee and you play by their rules. But it doesn't change the fact that everybody is a fucking slave here in this country to the financial system, to corporate interests, to foreign interests, and to a corrupt ruling elite class. Now, they allow themselves the ability to hire people that are creative to build them things that are not homogenized to you, but they're homogenized in a different way among their own elite class. You see, what you have is a sham here. That's why your neighborhoods, your cities, every exit off the highway looks the same. It's all wax for the fire. And your enemies and your competitors now have the creativity and are bleeding your creativity off, because people that were born with skill sets that are creative thinkers want to be creative, and they'll either stay here and rot like fruit on the vine, or they will leave and go do what they are designed to do somewhere else. You see, your system is like a python that's constricting true freedom, true creativity, true intellect, true innovation, true relationships, real anything, and forcing you into rules while the lawless rule you with their rules. And lawlessness increases, you're being devoured. You see, if I had not known anything about any other places other than America, or even outside of the town where I was born, I'd have no benchmark. I wouldn't have anything to compare what we have here to. And so I would just have to either blindly accept the fact that we have the greatest country on earth, right? And the rest of the world sucks. Or I would have to be a maverick, right? And pay the cost, the price, for disagreeing with it, but not being able to back it up. But I can back it up. You see, where the leaders have no vision, you also have no inspiration. Everything here is ruled by your God, Mammon. You're ruled by a financial system that doesn't create anything but shuffle digits and digital code around. Now, it'll create assets that are liquefiable in the short term because it's all about the short term here. But they don't care if there's any uniqueness to it, any creativity to it. They want that stuff built for the lowest cost. And they don't care about it lasting beyond their ability to milk it for as much profit as they possibly can. They don't have any desire beyond the bottomless pit of their own greed and selfishness. And they are spiritually dead. They're lukewarm. So as I'm walking around this neighborhood right now that's being built, everything looks the same. And I look across the street at the homes and the buildings that were built prior to the time period, right? A lot of them have been rehabbed. They're pretty cool. But when you put it against what we're building ourselves, it's shit. It's cheap, it's overpriced, and it won't last. It's like the construction version of fast food or impulse buys of candy at the checkout counter at a grocery store. There's no life in it. There's nothing here that inspires. Everything looks exactly the same. It's like freaking Sim City. There's no variance. And you're not allowed to change it either because you have a homeowners association. Because everybody has got to fit into the box, right? And if you change your box, well, the other people in their boxes are going to get pissed off at you because you're hurting their market value. Doesn't matter if there's a potential that their market value could actually go up because you're being innovative and creative and adding some novelty to the homogenization. But they can't see it, so it doesn't exist to them. They're blind. But this is what's sold as the American dream now. Homogenization. Here's your little box. Your little box is going to be just like everybody else's little boxes, and you're going to like it. And you're going to pay through the teeth for it, and you're going to go into debt for it. And then you're going to work your ass off every single day, right? Your entire life to pay off the same box that everybody else bought. And it's going to get more costly the longer that you have it because it was made like shit. It was designed like shit, and the materials are shit. You see, it's not about the people that actually buy the stuff, it's about business. All that you are about is commerce, but not even good commerce. You're not even smart about that. If you were, you'd actually design stuff that actually worked better. You'd allow more innovation in things like building homes. But what you are is a machine. You're a robot as a nation that have trapped people inside of it and forced homogenization to the system. Just like a bureaucracy, just like a corporation. The military used to be like that. They're trying to make it that way again. But you can't win wars if you're homogenized in the type of wars that we're fighting these days. You see, the confusion here is that everything is backwards. It's a false reality. There's never been a single leaf on a single tree that's ever been the same as any other leaf on that tree or any other tree in human history, or the history of anything here. There's never been a single human being that's exactly like everybody else. But yet the systems you build, right, and your highly technical, scientific, right, godless, spiritless, lifeless societies wants to make everything homogenized. And then you point out the different homogenization and more obvious examples of authoritarian governments, like North Korea. But how are you any different? I mean, in some ways you're different. You've got money, right? You can eat. So you've got a greater propensity towards complacency. And so it's easier for you to be complicit. Because you have a short-term benefit and you bought in. It's still a meaningless, empty life. And the shit you buy doesn't even last. It's not even good quality. And it looks exactly the same as everybody else's. Now, you might think I'm being hard on America. This is every empire throughout history. When it reaches this stage, it's done. Unless a drastic shift in heart and mind changes in the people and in the leadership of the people. And here in America, you waste more things than you build. So I'm looking here, and quite honestly, I can't tell a single difference between any of these townhomes. Not a damn bit. They're completely homogenized. Now, if I was a drunk, it'd be really, really easy for me to walk into the wrong home here because they all look exactly the damn same. See, you've got technology, science, construction, everything backwards. All those are tools and things to serve humanity. Instead, you've turned it around and made humanity serve your machine. And between you and me, that's a society I absolutely fucking abhor. It's like walking around in a fucking morgue. Everybody's homogenized in a morgue too. There's no life there. You've got a few variances here and there, right? Skin color, hairstyle, how you died. But you're still all dead. You're still in a morgue, and there's still no life. When a society builds, manufactures things that are homogenized, it has no life. When life has been sucked out of people to feed a machine that's lifeless, that's a beast. Now, who wants to talk to me about freedom and liberty now? Because you have so very little of it, you don't even realize it. Because you can't build what you want here, no matter how good you may be at building it. In most areas, most counties and cities, everybody's got their hands in the till. You can't even do what you want to do on your own damn property. That's not freedom. That's control. But you damn imbeciles continue to elect people at federal, state, and local levels that keep dumping all this crap on you. Now you're either idiots, or you're brainwashed, or you simply don't give a shit and you have no life yourself and you never thought about anything beyond fitting in with everybody else. No one that's ever made a lasting impact on the world for good or even for evil. But let's just focus on the good. Ever played by their rules. Such a society like we have becomes debauched in every form. And it wants to normalize it and pretend like it's normal, because what it really is it's suffering. It's suffering under the weight of its own avarice and hubris. Like I was saying in last couple of talks, you drive around in cities, and our city streets are shit. We don't take care of stuff. But you have these big, giant, bloated bureaucracies and all this money being taken in every kind of form imaginable. And all that's really happening, all right, your cities aren't getting nicer. You're not having less crime. You're actually in retrograde. You're actually slipping back to what you were being freed from. And now everything is going to become homogenized. It's going to choke off your creativity. And all that you have left, right, is endless, shallow novelties. And you can buy everything there is you could buy, and it will never fill the darkness inside of you with light. It will never give you any substance. What you've created here is Sisyphean. So those of you that want me to ease up on the elite, well, good luck with that. That's not going to happen. Because the more you have here, the more wealth, power, influence, and control you have, the more you're responsible for the entire nation and the direction that it goes. So I hold you directly responsible. Because you're the ones that make these damn rules. You're the ones that misapply after misappropriating knowledge and use it wrongly. Because it's really all about you and your trinity of the me, myself, and I. Right? You're revealing the trinity of the God you worship, right? Revealed in three persons, the me, myself, and I. But there's no life in that. You know, the science was clear before, for a long time actually, but when you're isolated, and the stuff that occurred during COVID, with everybody being locked away like dogs in a humane society kennel, they knew the science behind it. The science behind it is if you're isolated for that kind of period of time, it kills creativity, because the isolation destroys inspiration. We're creatures, we're people, right? People need other people. It also destroys the ability to have meaningful social interactions. And it's all been replaced with digital, which is adding an amplification model to it. There's no life in that. I'm not inspired, and I'm not the only one. Because what happens is that when you don't have an outlet to take your inspiration onward, because everything is controlled, and you have a society that has gone sideways like ours, it kills your desire to do anything inspiring for others, even though you try. And I still try. But I can tell you, my creativity has been hampered all along because I hate your system. Your system doesn't value thinking. It doesn't value inspiration and creativity. It values only money, the bottom line. It's lifeless. It's a poor replacement for real things. Just like talking to people through a computer interface is a poor replacement for actually sitting in a room with them and going and doing things with them in person. The other thing isolation does is actually creates the conditions to be sick. So everything your brilliant science-driven governmental leaders like Fauci have told you is actually inverted. They have done more damage in the name of trying to not do damage because they're blind fools. They've misappropriated their positions, the knowledge that it requires, and then they're using their positions to control you while whitewashing their own improprieties, right? Insufficiencies and incompetence. Because they're prideful. And pride is the bottom line when leaders have no vision. And where leaders have no vision, the people perish. And where the people perish is because there's no life, no truth. It becomes homogenized. And the people become meat for a beast made of iron. And it doesn't matter how much money you have, how much money you can get, you'll never be happy with more stuff. So the damage done to this country by COVID is a lot greater than the fear factory that your leadership dumped on everybody. That they're willing to admit. But you see, because they're covering up their own bullshit, you're paying the price for them. Why did you put them there? Why are you allowing them to stay there? Why are you fighting their wars? Why are you building their tax base up? Why are you giving them power? They're shadows of the real. And even though these houses suck that they're building, would you rather have the shitty house or a shadow of the shitty house. At least with a shitty house, you have something you can walk into. You have something to show for it. At least, even if it's just appearances. But if you're investing into the shadow of the house, you have nothing to show for it. Why would you elect leaders in the same manner? And why would you expect that to go well for you? You see, when you remove truth, the spirit of truth, when you kick the spirit of truth out, right? The shadow of death moves in. And that's what you've done as a society. That's why you don't stand up for anything you say you believe. That's why you elect idiots and tell you what you want to hear, instead of people that actually know what the hell to do to change the paradigm. So I try to go and see and do things that inspire me so I can inspire others. Most of what I find when I'm around a lot of people in the cities is most people in this country are drug addicts and alcoholics now. You're debauched. But you're obviously debauched. It's the ones that think they aren't that are feeding you your debauching ways, right? Because as long as you're diverted into your debauching ways, you're not looking at how truly debauched they are and how they got you here. You are a slave. There's no life in a lie. A lie leads you to the dust on the ground, to a grave. For all the talk of American individualism, I see so very little of it. But I do see it get attacked a great deal. This is what you've given birth to. You've given birth, stillbirth, to a lie, and you've aborted what was real. How ironic. You see, when you are deceived and you follow a lie, there are consequences. And the consequences of that are the only things that actually really outlive you. And it affects all the other generations that come after you. Nothing happens in a vacuum. Everything you do here has a macro level effect. It ripples outward. So here we are. We fight endless wars that never end. We continue to build stuff that will never last. And we tell ourselves this is the greatest thing ever, which is a lie. We have accepted a shadow of the real, a shadow of a possibility of what could be. And you wonder why you're sick, divided, addicted, at each other's throats, and the country is lifeless. You have murdered your future. You're in the last stage of a dying culture. And worse yet, you've stolen the most important thing that humanity has, the truth. You've exchanged it for lies, and you've trampled down the most important thing that you have here in this world, and that is relationships. So you have a government of, by, and for the people, right? Well, which people is that? The people at the top? The people at the bottom? Because it sure isn't the people in the middle. Everything is a simulation here. You become a caricature, a shadow of the real. I see it everywhere. There's very little life here. Everything's become negative. There's very little love here. And your confusion has overtaken you. And your cynicism is poisoning you. And your selfishness is killing you. And your leaders are leading you there, that you put there. So is it any wonder that you have a part of the population that doesn't see any difference between any other place on earth, even though they've in many cases never been there? They don't see the difference between ideologies. They don't see things play out and exampled for them, and even when they do, they're so blinded by the lies that they've been fed and co-opted by that they can't see it. And they're strapped with all manner of addictions, of sickness, spiritually, psychologically, and physiologically. Everything has a cost. Being such a commerce-driven society, one would think that you would understand this clearly, but apparently you do not. You apparently do not also understand the law of diminishing returns. Doing the same thing over and over again is insanity when you expect different results. It's denial when you ignore the same outcomes over and over again, and it's pride when you refuse to accept responsibility for having done it. So you hate those of us, or mitigate those of us that tell you different. What I see America turning into is a giant graveyard. Yeah, people are still out and about, but there's no life. You've crushed them. You've destroyed the society. Your hedge funds, your private equity funds, your banks, right? Your big financial houses. You see, if you had life, you would have, you would at least done something of value with the money that you had. But you didn't. Because it's all about you. It's all about more. And I can tell you what, you'll be pursuing your more all the way into hell, which you've been creating here as a preview of what you're going to have for eternity. But you don't believe in that, most of you. That's what you tell yourselves, but down deep you do. You are in desolation. You've become like so many of the other nations already were. At least their structures they built, they still have from 1,000 years of history. Everything you build now is temporary. I mean, truly temporary, like short-term temporary. It's not built to last. How can you take pride in your work when you're building such pieces of shit? Is it any wonder that the technology that you create here winds up being employed by everybody else but you? Because the people that create it can't get you to do anything or get them enough resources to show you that would work and actually be pretty cool and would solve a lot of problems. So you've corrupted everything, your science, your innovation. You've corrupted yourselves top to bottom, bottom to top, vertically and horizontally. And I've watched it happen for 51 years. And I love this country. I love the people. And it saddens me deeply that this is what you've turned into. And it infuriates me that those who are responsible for having been the stewards of this are such worthless pieces of shit, because I can see it in the outcomes of their decision making and their policies, both foreign and domestic. What you destroyed was a sense of community, what was left of it. What you destroyed was a sense of hopefulness for the future. I wrote a song, and I'll put it at the end of this, called Digital Never Enoughs. Virtual reality will never ever take the place of actual reality, no matter how delusional you get and how much you may try to create your own digital utopias. You can't build artificial intelligence smart enough to fix all the problems that you create fast enough. You cannot save yourself with the very things that are given over to entropy with you. But you've even corrupted faith here. So when I walk around and drive around in this country, I see homogenization. It's like walking around on a facsimile chart. One homogenized thing after another. That's a misappropriation of the knowledge base and misuse of it. And it always comes back down to greed and pride, avarice and hubris. A lack of faith, a lack of care for others. And it always comes down to people having jettisoned objective truth and a faith in the God of truth. It's like your foreign policies. You manufacture more problems to keep the whole thing going when it's all a sham, a lie, instead of actually completing anything. And worse yet, you sacrifice your children to that because you haven't finished a war since World War II. You've not solved one problem in my lifetime. You've not ended one illness in my lifetime. But you sold a hell of a lot of drugs. See, it's all about the shallows here because there's no money, right? And you're thinking there's no money in actually solving the root causality of the problems. That's why it's all a lie. That's why you manufacture lies to keep it going, to divide people, right? You've hatched vipers. You've made yourselves corrupt. And you exchange the truth for a lie. And no matter how much truth you may apprehend, you will continue to corrupt it and pay more and more consequences for it. Because you're living a lie. Your intent is corrupt. And you don't even realize that it's completely transparent. So I used to sit down and design cities, look at maps of cities, how we could make things better, more creative, more inspiring. But you guys murder that in me every day. I have a plan for this country. Worked on it for years. And I guarantee you, and you may think I'm arrogant in saying this, and that's fine. I really don't care. I can back up everything that I'm telling you. But the plan I have is much greater than anything anybody you put in office has ever offered. And it involves you playing a vital role. But you won't allow that to happen either, will you? Because you didn't come up with the whole plan, even though the plan is dependent upon you playing a role in it. But that's not good enough. So you would rather vote in leaders without vision and perish with your pride, your greed, your avarice, your hubris, your addictions, your fear, and your confusion than let go. You've chosen the shadow. And that shadow leads you straight to a graveyard and then from there into hell. And the signs are all around you. That's why China is celebrating right now. Because they helped you there and they conned you. They're mocking you. And they poisoned you. And you paid them to turn around and do it to you. And you handed over the keys to the kingdom to them. So you'll get your war. And it'll be the last war you ever fight. Because what's occurred here and around the world has now started the end of the way that this world has worked for many millennia. It is a tripwire that has been tripped. But you got what you wanted, did you not? Now it's not what you want. well, it is what you got. So, consider that. And if you desire real change and real leadership that isn't about themselves, that actually cares about you, perhaps one day you'll start putting them into positions of power. But you probably won't do that. Because I know how this world works, which is why it's dying. It's fading away, it's passing away. You see, that's been the problem all along. So you got what you want. I hope it's what you wanted, because it's all you got. And as it is for people, so too it is for the nation.
Hedonistic skin smack, synchronistic made up fact. Who will save us? Cinematic view of hell, symptomatic prison cell. Who will save us? Technocrat, prison trap, autocratic heart attack. Who will save us? Who will save us? Yeah, give it all. Never enough. Yeah, give it all. Never enough. Yeah, give it all. Never enough. Hedonistic skin smack, synchronistic made up fact. Who will save us? Cinematic view of hell, symptomatic prison cell. Who will save us? Technocrat, prison trap, autocratic heart attack. Who will save us? Who will save us? Yeah, give it all. Never enough. Yeah, give it all. Never enough. Yeah, give it all. Never enough. So killed, well inside your head, feeling encrypted, or maybe fragmented.